WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig.
Let's go!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hennig.
Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN. The Power Hour is back for a Thursday night. We got a lot to get to. There are some Eagles injury news that we got to get to, and it's not who you think it is. Boy, when this news came out earlier today, I had to double check my information because I was like, is this real? But we got to get to it coming up here on 97.3 ESPN. And, you know, for as bad as the 76ers are and as boring as the Phillies offseason has been, did you know the Flyers won 5 of the last 6? You wouldn't know it by the way people obsess over hating on the Sixers. So Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider, will join us live from MSG in about 20 minutes from now. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. But we got to get to these Eagles injuries, okay? And I know that we have all spent so much of this week talking about Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts has been the topic of all topics this week. But there are 2 names on the injury report that have popped up now for 2 straight days. And one of those players wasn't even not at practice today. He wasn't seen anywhere. That being not Jalen Hurts, who, by the way, according to reports, his knee is improving, and apparently it looks like that he is going to be a full go for Sunday. Not Quinyon Mitchell, who we have heard and been reported. You know, he told InsideTheBirds.com's Andrew DeCecco that he will be good to go, and there are other Eagles reporters who say that he is good to go. So for all the talk we have had this week about Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell, apparently that is not the name we should have been worried about. Apparently the name we should have been worried about is Cam Jurgens and Dallas Goedert. So here's the scoop. Cam Jurgens was not just practicing for the second straight day again. Landon Dickerson got all of the first team snaps today. And apparently, according to multiple Eagles reporters like John McMullen and Jeff Mosher and others, I'm pointing those specifically because they were on the Sports Bash earlier today talking with Ryan and PG. But there are other Eagles reporters who have said that the Eagles do not look at Nick Gates or anyone else as a legitimate backup center, that Dickerson would be the backup center. Now, you're asking, well, what is going on with these guys? Well, apparently Jurgens has a back issue. And I will tell you right now, anytime I hear offensive lineman and back issue, I'm concerned. Okay? If he hasn't played for practice, I should say, for 2 straight days, Dickerson's already getting first team reps as a center, it's pretty likely that we will not see Jurgens on Sunday, and it'll be Dickerson at center, and then it will be Tyler Steen at left guard. Now, on the surface, this is not the worst thing in the world because, one, Landon Dickerson was a first-team All-American center at the University of Alabama. He was an elite interior offensive lineman in college. And frankly, half the reason why he moved the guard was because Jason Kelsey played for a couple more years, and Dickerson performed so well as a left guard that they decided, you know what, why don't we just draft another center and make him the new guy at center? Landon Dickerson was considered one of the best offensive linemen in all of football. College football when he was drafted. The only reason why he was drafted as late as he was because of his injury history in college, which, as we've seen in the NFL, has also been an issue. But going into this game, if Dickerson is already taking snaps from Jurgens, it leads me to two questions. One, will we have snap issues on Sunday? Is there going to be a problem when it comes to a guy who has not been the primary person getting the ball to the quarterback the entire year? That's my first question. My second question, Landon Dickerson is a much larger human being than Cam Jurgens. Landon Dickerson is 6'6". He is a massive human being. Cam Jurgens, they say he is 6'3". Frankly, he probably looks closer to 6'2". But we'll go with the official measurements. If you are 3 inches shorter, now you're changing, one, the angle of the snap going to the quarterback. Number two, you're changing the quarterback's sight lines because the quarterback, who himself is the tallest guy in the world, right? Now he has a 6'6" guy directly in front of him at the snap. So now a 6'1", 6'1.5", depending on who you ask, Jalen Hurts now has a 6'6" man in front of him instead of a 6'3" man. And now, where does Jalen Hurts' vision lines change? And then the more important question about Dickerson coming in. How does this impact some of the run plays? Because we know the part of the reason why Jurgens is the Eagles starting center is because he was able to be that freakish athlete like Jason Kelce was, do those pulls around the edge. I don't think Dickerson is going to be able to make those same type of run plays. Dickerson is much more of a brawler and a guy who is going to wreak havoc on the interior than he is going to be a guy who's going to rip it off on a counter play or a pull play to the outside. So I have a lot of questions about the Eagles' offense now that has nothing to do with Hurts and nothing to do with A.J. Brown and has everything to do with the interior line because, I was listening to Ross Tucker and Bo Allen on the Green Light podcast last night, and they made a great point that people don't always understand the importance of interior line play. And now you are going to a situation where if you don't have your traditional offensive line, how does that change offensive play calling? How does that change the execution of run blocking and pass blocking? Do the Eagles get worse with either one of those? Now, we saw when Tyler Cena's come into games this year for Dickerson or for Becton, forgot his name for a minute, Mekhi Becton, that Steen has done a very good job, especially as a run blocker. So I don't anticipate this being a huge drop-off without Jurgens, but I do think it is something I want to keep an eye on to see how it plays out with the injury report tomorrow and Sunday. But the other injury is Dallas Goedert. Now, Dallas Goedert at least was in attendance at today's practice. He didn't do anything during today's practice, but apparently he's dealing with an ankle injury. And Jeff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast said 2 hours ago here on 97.3 ESPN, the ankle injury that Goedert is dealing with right now is the same ankle injury he sustained earlier this year. So apparently this has been a reoccurring injury, and we now have to be concerned about, is Goedert not going to be 100%? Well, I know he's not going to be 100%, but is Goedert not going to be, is he not going to be as effective as a weapon for the Eagles on Sunday as he was the last 2 weeks when you could argue he was the team's most productive receiver? So that is the injury report. And if Goddard is not available to go, how does it impact the game on Sunday? Well, it impacts the game because now you are going to lean more on a banged up A.J. Brown. Now, A.J. Brown says he's feeling the best he has felt in weeks. I don't know what that means. I don't know how that impacts the game. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some expert on how A.J. Brown's knee is impacting his play. I just know that for a guy who in the past has averaged 8 targets a game in the postseason in previous years, this year he is averaging 5 targets a game. He is averaging fewer targets per game in the postseason than he was 2 years ago in 2022. So if him feeling better means more production out of him, then I hope so. And maybe then the Goddard issue with the ankle is less of a concern. The other problem with Goddard is he is a very important run blocker and a crackback blocker for this offense. You lose him on the field, now you're hoping that Grant Calcaterra, whose strength is not blocking, E.J. Jenkins, who is probably the most average third-string tight end on the planet, and a partridge in a pear tree are able to pick up for Goddard's slack. Now, can maybe Jahan Dotson have more of an impact on this offense? I think it depends on how they call it. So we have a lot of new questions going into the game on Sunday when the Eagles take on the Commanders. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN FM, and you can also listen on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Pre-game coverage at 2, and then 3 o'clock is the kickoff here on 97.3 ESPN. Before we hit the break, Shaner in EHT. He says, I brought my nephew to a Flyers game the other night. They lost, but what a show. The lights on the ice, the whole experience. That kid had the night of his life. Flyers chants, the power play. The team is a group of hustlers. Hope they beat the Rangers this evening. My nephew's smile was from ear to ear for hours. He fell asleep across the Walt Whitman. What an experience. Ice hockey is so cool. That's Shaner and EHT. Well, we'll talk about, Shaner, you were at the last time the Flyers lost a game. They've won 5 of the last 6. How have the Flyers turned it around? Is it time to start calling the Flyers the second best team in the city? Our insider, Kevin Durso from 97.3 ESPN.com, joins me next on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City.
It's the NFC Championship game this Sunday as the Eagles host their NFC East rivals, the Washington Commanders.
He breaks a tackle. He's on his way. Here he goes. He's at the 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Pre-game coverage starts at 2 p.m. South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN. South Jersey's home of Super Bowl 59.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. That means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the type of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app using promo code RADIODYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $25,000 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. For terms, Caesars.com/promos. If you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Cooper's our new neighbor down the shore.
Introducing Cooper University Hospital, Cape Regional.
Healthcare is going to improve in Cape May County.
We're excited to bring our award-winning care to our new neighbors in Cape May and Atlantic counties. You'll have greater access to top specialists, advanced technology, innovative treatments, and outstanding cancer care at MD Anderson Cancer Center at Cooper. Cooper University Healthcare. Together, we're doing something extraordinary for families down the shore.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Score a touchdown when you bank with Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Catch lower rates on loans and higher rates on savings. You'll cheer when you don't have to pay a penny to get your own money since they offer 85,000 surcharge-free ATMs. Get the details or open an account online with just a $25 minimum deposit at JerseyShoreFCU.org or swing to a branch in Northfield, Galloway, Hamilton, or Rio Grande. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland, where you get RK coverage, no charge. RK does it right. RK Kia of Vineland, myrkkia.com.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NHL, the Flyers back on the ice tonight as they take on the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. The Flyers are riding a 3-game win streak. They're coming off an overtime victory against the Detroit Red Wings on Tuesday. They've won 5 of 6, while the Rangers, they've won 5 of their last 7. NBA, the Sixers back home Friday night, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have the best record in the NBA. The Sixers, they're looking to snap a 7-game losing skid after they fell to Denver on Tuesday to wrap up a 3-game road trip. NFL Championship weekend, Sunday, the Eagles in Washington will meet for the NFC title in a berth in Super Bowl 59. The 2 regular season games were split, with each team winning at home, and both games were decided by single digits. Both offenses averaging nearly 28 points per game. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. It's time to thaw out. While nights and weekends will still be very cold through this weekend, at least daytime temperatures will be at or above the freezing mark for the next 5 days. Tonight, clearing cold, low of 18. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, calm and dry, high 34. We hit a little speed bump on Saturday. High comes down to 32 with more sunshine. Sunday, mostly cloudy and breezy, possible flurries, high 41. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Hi, Merrill Reese from Mike's Seafood Polar Bear Run Walk for Autism in Sea Isle City. The Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism has been promoting awareness and raising funds for special service schools and families of special needs children. Come join over 5,000 participants in the 5K race and the Family Fun Walk, followed by a great after party. Join us in huge heated tents where there will be great food, unbelievable door prizes, and the awards ceremony. The party is not just for the runners and walkers, it's for the entire family. They'll have clowns, superheroes, and face painters for the kids. For more information or to register, go to polarbearrunwalkforautism.com. That's polarbearrunwalkforautism.com.
Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism is Saturday, February 15th at JFK and the Boardwalk in Sea Isle City. Registration is from 9:30 to 11:30. Run Walk starts at noon. That's Saturday, February 15th at JFK and the Boardwalk in Sea Isle City. Any day you could do something for children with disabilities, it's a good day.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We will check back in on text board a little bit later this hour, 609-403-0973. Also, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. But tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, the Flyers are back in action. The Flyers have won 5 of their last 6 Are we ready to start saying the Flyers are the second best team in the city? Well, at least they're the second most interesting team in the city because the way how horrible the Sixers are, the Phillies, I know spring training is like 22 days away, but I really don't care. So let's talk some hockey with Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider, live from Madison Square Garden. Kevin, how's it going?
It's going well, Josh. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. So how are we here, Kevin Durso? How have the Flyers ended up winning 5 of the last 6?
Well, a big reason for it is the guy in goal tonight. Sam Harrison's just been outstanding in the last several games. You go back now 8 starts for him. He's got a 1.56 goals against average and a 935 save percentage, and has posted a 7-1-0 record in those 8 games. So that's where that comes from. That's where this run of success for the team has come, because it really does start from the net out. They've gotten the performances from Sam Harrison, and that has led to just about everything else. And they've won a couple games on this bit of a winning streak that they've got. They've won 3 in a row. They've gotten points in 6 straight. And a lot of that has been in low-scoring games. You think about the game they just had against Detroit, a 2-1 overtime win. They beat the Devils essentially 2-1. The final 3-1, a last-second empty netter, but that's a 2-1 game. And they're just having to find a way to win these really close, low-scoring games that don't have a lot of action really in front of you, but they've been able to do it because their goaltending's been so good.
I think it's the play of the guys. Like you look at the final goal of the last game in overtime. It's like, Ristolainen didn't even know he was credited with the goal. He was just happy, like, hey, we all crashed the net and we scored. Like, it seems like there's a lot of selflessness with these guys. Like when they told, I don't know if you were at his locker when he said it, but I saw his face when he was informed that he got the goal. He was like, oh, all right, that's cool. Like, it's not like these guys are trying to steal limelight. This seems like a very us versus the world kind of team.
Yeah, and that's the way the locker room was last year, honestly. They were a tight group last year. It's a lot of the same guys coming back, and they've now started to find more of a groove. It's one thing to go through the month of December that they had, and it kind of wears on you when it's just not going the right way. You're not getting the final result. You're getting everything else. You might be playing well enough to win some games, and you're losing a bunch of 1-goal games or 2-goal games with an empty netter or something like that, or losing in overtime, and you're just not really finding a way to finish off those wins. Now they've done that a few times in a row, and it just breeds a happier locker room, a more energetic locker room. They're having fun right now because not only are they finding ways to win games and have success, but, everybody else might not look at it this way, but the players certainly can look at the standings and say, listen, look at this logjam in the standings right now. It's up for grabs. Those last wild card spots are totally up for grabs. And if that's the way that they want to believe in themselves, and take that to that level, then they're going to ride with this, just like they did last year when they were in the playoffs for so much of it. They're going to just take that and run with it. So right now they're on a good roll right now. And they've kind of gotten fortunate with some of the scheduling here that, you go play a team like New Jersey. It's been in the top 3 the entire season in the Metro, but they've hit a rough patch right now, and they really can't get out of their own way. And that's how you maybe find a way to win a game against them on the road. You play the Islanders, who haven't been able to figure it out. You got them 2 more times coming up. You have them tomorrow night and again next week. The Devils are twice next week. The Rangers are certainly on a much more successful streak lately. They're 7-1-3 in the month of January, but they still are sitting in roughly the same spot the Flyers are overall this season. And everybody knows that their expectation level was way higher. This was a team that people talked about winning the Metropolitan Division and making a long run in the playoffs. And they're not even close to it right now in terms of they've got to jump those same teams and everything like that. So this is an interesting test for them because, I think when they played each other the first time on Black Friday, we all looked at it and said, well, this is a big test for the Flyers because it's the Rangers. They don't beat the Rangers that frequently. Then as the season kind of progressed, it was, well, the Rangers are not a very good team right now. They just really can't seem to figure things out. Now they've gotten it back on the rails too. So this is an interesting test for them to kind of come in, both teams hot, both teams riding point streaks. Something's got to give in this game, and we'll see who it goes for in this case.
And the other part, Flyers insider Kevin Durso from 97.3 ESPN.com joining us here on game night. Josh Hennig here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Kevin Durso live from Madison Square Garden. The Rangers are a weird team because they are in this kind of like, are we trying for the playoffs? Or are we going to eventually maybe sell off? Like a lot of people like myself thought that when they traded away their captain of all people, right, Trouba, they were cooked, they were done. And then when Shesterkin got injured, it was like, all right, well, this team ain't going anywhere. And all just somehow, some way, they found a way out of all of that. So the Rangers, this is an important game for them, for the audience to understand that these next 2 weeks could determine their season as well.
Sure, and I think what you really have to factor in also for all teams in the league, not just these two teams in front of us tonight, is that Four Nations tournament is coming up quick. You've got a couple weeks left in January. We're into the home stretch of the January schedule. And then most of these teams play maybe four games over the course of early February, then go on a 2-week break. And when they come back, like in the Flyers case, they're going to come back from Four Nations. They only have 6 games left, and it's the trade deadline. So whatever your direction is going to be, you have to figure it out maybe in the next 10 games. So yeah, for the Rangers, it's very much a kind of sense of direction kind of game for them. And you brought up kind of the perfect person to define this whole thing for them, because Igor Shesterkin is starting in goal for the Rangers tonight, and he's coming off back-to-back shutouts. So he's been just as good lately for the Rangers, and that's really their catalyst. If he's completely on his game, he's had a good season, all things considered, even though the team has not. But when he's really on his game and almost impossible to beat like he has been over these last handful, that can really be what sets that team off in the right direction. And that's the test that the Flyers face in this case. You know, I'm thinking back to the last time these two teams played each other in this building, which was last March, and you got a high-scoring 6-5 overtime final that the Rangers ended up winning. And you got to think about, you know, in any case, no matter what the situation says, whether it's back-to-back shutouts or a struggle for the Rangers goaltender, if you're able to score 4 or 5 goals on Igor Shesterkin, you better win that game, because it doesn't happen that frequently. Even in a down year for the rest of the team, he's still giving you the kind of numbers that you would expect Igor Shesterkin to give you. So that's the test in front of you. And if he can start to kind of lead that charge for the Rangers and get them into the playoff picture and give them a sense of direction that says we can still go for it, that's what they're looking for over these next handful of games. And I'm sure they know what kind of team is coming in here tonight in the Flyers to play them in terms of hardworking, defensive struggle type of game. You're going to need to be on your game, because this could be one of those tight-checking playoff field games, since it matters so much for both teams.
You mentioned about Shesterkin, the goaltender for the Rangers. Let's get back to Ersson for the Flyers. You touched on him just a little bit earlier. For you, there's got to be more than just he's healthy, right? There's got to be more to this than just, hey, Ersson's no longer injured. Like, what is it about these last several games for Samuel Ersson that he has been able to, maybe, shall I call it, find that little bit of magic again?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's about how steady he can be. You know, whenever I look for him to play, I look for him to be really on point and just composed. And that's not to say that he lost his composure over the last handful of games, but there was just something that felt a little off with his game, whether it was just a physical quality, that he was just not positioned perfectly, a mental thing, whatever it was. He said several times over the last handful of games that he's had the success he's had, that he didn't change anything physically. Everything has been the same process for him. It's just all coming together right now. And you can tell over the last several games, whether it was the way he played against Detroit, the way he played against New Jersey, when he's on from the moment the puck hits the ice. So if you could see him come into a game like this and start making a lot of saves early and really get locked in early, you know what kind of game you're in for, because he's already set to have that kind of game. He's already into that mode. And that's what you want to see from your goaltender night in and night out. And you weren't getting that for a while. From him, you weren't getting it from the backups. Now you started to find this little niche here where it works for Sam Ersson. It seems like the last handful of games that you've had to go to Ivan Fedotov, he's found a little something that you can rely on here. That's how he got the number 2 spot back. That's how Alexei Kolosov eventually found his way back to the minors. That's how it kind of all made this goaltending situation work out for them for right now. It's kind of resolved at the moment. You know who number 1 is, you know who number 2 is, and you know where Kolosov stands for the moment to get some work in while the other 2 guys really lead the charge here. But Ersson's definitely surefire. You're number 1 right now. This is his 7th start in the last 8 games. So that tells you everything you need to know. As much as they want to keep an eye on how much they're using him, because they did use him a ton last year, they really have to kind of roll with him right now, because he's on one of those heaters right now that you can't ignore.
Kevin Durso live from Madison Square Garden, our Flyers insider for 97.3 ESPN.com at Kevin_Durso on the Twitter X platform. Kevin, Flyers right now, they're 2 games out of the final wild card spot. They're 3 games behind Columbus, which I don't even know how Columbus has 23 wins this year. I mean, they're the worst. I think they might be the worst team on the road in the NHL this year is Columbus. But what are the Flyers at this point? Are they a legitimate contender for a wild card spot? Because I remember when you and I had this conversation last year, you said, hey, they're not there yet. They're going to be fun. They're going to keep it interesting, you said, down the stretch. But you said, I'm warning everybody. You said this last year multiple times, that you were warning people, don't get your hopes up. This is not a real playoff team, even if they do make it. So are you looking at the team this year any differently than you did last year?
Well, just like last year, they do have an identity about their game. I'll give them that. They're a hardworking team. They've gotten locked into some really tight defensive battles lately and found a way to win them. And I just think about both their resilience in some of these games. You know, it takes a resilient team. I don't care which team you are. You can be the Chicago Blackhawks at the bottom of the standings right now, or you could be the Washington Capitals at the top of the standings. If you rally back in the third period against the defending Stanley Cup champions the way they did last week, that's a defining victory for you, no matter who you are. And then you continue to go through the course of the week and you play these tight games that don't have a lot of action going for you, and you find a way to win those too. That's your identity. You're tough to play against. And every team that plays this team right now would say that they are tough to go against. They're going to give you a fight. And that's a great identity to have. It's good to have an identity to play towards. I keep going back to me, like half the teams in the NHL are not very good. They probably are not legitimate playoff contenders in general. So I don't put the Flyers there yet. I think there's a lot of work to do and a lot of things that need to happen before they are legitimately a playoff contender. But does that mean they can't make a playoff run this year? Absolutely they can, because no one has run away with this thing again, just like last year. We're watching almost on a night-by-night basis. Columbus is there. Ottawa's there. Boston's there. Montreal was in a playoff spot the other night. It is changing very quickly, and it seems to happen night over night that somebody else is now holding one of those playoff spots, and it very well could be the Flyers. Like I've been coming back to over the last several weeks, you know, they end up taking this thing now and going on a 3-4 game losing streak. They might be bottom 5 in the league the way this shapes up. They go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, though, they might be in the playoffs. And now they've won 5 of their last 6, 11 points out of 12 in these games. And look where they are. They're right on the cusp of possibly being in the playoff picture, because they won't go away just like everybody else won't. And sometimes you win a couple games and you get there. Sometimes you lose a game and everybody else loses and you stay there, because no one seems to want to run with this thing. There are legitimately at this point 3 spots up for grabs, and in the Flyers' case, it's going to be 2, because one of those spots is in the Atlantic. That really doesn't affect them. But there's a lot of shuffling that could happen for 3 playoff spots in the Eastern Conference over the next several weeks leading up to the trade deadline, and the Flyers are very much part of that picture. So what I would tell the listeners and the fans out there is, listen, enjoy what you're watching. You've got a rookie that's worth watching every single game. You've got a team that's bringing it every single night, does not have many games. You know, they played Dallas a couple weeks ago and lost 4-1 and did not have it whatsoever that night. That's a rarity for this team. They usually do have it. They usually have something that you can latch onto that gives them a chance every night. And right now, I think that's all you can ask for, is that they give themselves a chance every night to potentially win a game and keep themselves alive. It may not last, just like it did last year, where, you know, you hit the final 11 and it falls apart on you. But for now, they're involved, and they're going to look to do kind of both things here. Stay involved, stay active in the playoff race, but also do what's right for the long-term future. And if that means making a seller's trade at the deadline while trying to stay competitive, they're going to do it, because that's where they are right now.
Kevin, before I let you go, I know a lot of attention. You mentioned the rookie, Matvei Mishkov. I know a lot of people like myself love seeing Konechny get that 20-goal mark before the 50-game mark. But I got to talk to you about Noah Cates, because, I mean, the dude has, 8 points this month? He's doing all the dirty work. I mean, this guy, I remember you and I talked about him a couple years ago, and you used to say, Josh, he's only here because they have no centers, right? Like, that was the whole thing. Like, they had to have somebody on the line. And he has gone from being a guy, well, you have to have him here, to, I don't know if you cannot not have him here. So talk about Noah Cates.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, the funny part to me is that at the very beginning of this season, he qualified probably as the 13th forward, because they were carrying Jetlachenko as an 18-year-old rookie, and Noah Cates didn't have a place in the lineup at the very beginning of the year. Now he is very much an irreplaceable part of this team. And part of the funny thing is that you bring up that I brought up, you know, he's here because he's a center, right? Last year, they played him a lot as a winger, and I think you're seeing his game go to a new level because he's back at center, because it's a natural fit for him. He plays better at center, and he's got 2 line mates that you have to keep with him right now. You've got to keep Tyson Forster and Bobby Brink with him. I mean, he's instrumental. I was at the game last Saturday against New Jersey at Prudential Center, too. He is instrumental in making that play happen on the power play to give them the eventual game-winning goal and help them win a game. And he's got 5 points in his last 5 games now. He's been doing it all month. He's really been doing it going back to just before the holiday break even. But it wasn't quite as noticeable maybe because of the results. Now the results are coming, and you see him out there in those late game situations, goalie pulled on the other end, game on the line. You need a play to be made. He's going to possibly look to make it. I mean, you think about the game he had against Florida, that third period, scores 2 goals, makes a play on the game winner too. That last year he wasn't making that play. That's a confident hockey player right now who knows that. I love John Tortorella's answer from a couple games ago, or from last game, I should say, when they played Detroit. I think he knows he's a good hockey player, and that's all that matters. I think he knows he's good. I think he knows he belongs. And right now, I mean, I guess you would sit there and say that right now their first line is the line that features Travis Konecny. John Tortorella does not do line numbers. So first 1 through 4 is for your interpretation. But I would say Noah Cates and the rest of his line is probably your number 2 line right now, and for good reason, because they deserve the minutes and they deserve the assignments they've been getting in having to defend, some of the best players in the league. I flat out said the other day on a podcast, Noah Cates played that game against Florida the way he did. This doesn't happen every night. I'm not calling him a better player than this guy, but that night he outplayed Alexander Barkov, who won a Selkie. He outplayed that guy for the last 2 periods in that game, and that's the kind of player you've got right now, and the confidence you have in that player that he can go play with anybody. And, the Rangers are a team that have some good centermen on the other side, some guys you want to shut down. I don't know if we see Noah Cates against Artemi Panarin's line or Mika Zibanejad's line or whichever line you want to throw him against, but you're going to see Noah Cates tonight probably get some tough matchups because the Rangers have some skilled players, and there's guys out there that Noah Cates can definitely be assigned to, and I would fully expect him to be able to handle the job because he has so far just about every step of the way.
Of course, Flyers, Rangers tonight. Hear the game on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. He's Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider. Check out all of his coverage at 97.3 ESPN.com, at Kevin_Durso on the Twitter X platform. And yes, Kevin Durso is live from MSG. Kevin, I appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the atmosphere, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
Josh Hennig here live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. And Kevin does a great job covering the Flyers. He is, I would argue, one of the best of all the people who cover the Flyers. He is as tuned in as anyone. And by the way, before I forget, the Flyer Files each week over on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Kevin Durso hosts that along with Haley Taylor-Simon, who also covers the Flyers. So, Kevin is one of the best at it. And I love what he said there about, because I had to ask him about Noah Cates. I think that one of the reasons why, at least for me, as a guy who's not covering the team every day like Durso is, but someone who's watching every game, I think that the part of the reason why the Flyers have found their way again right now is because you have a Flyers team that has said, hey, we are more than Konecny. We are more than Couturier. We are more than Mishkov. We are the collection of all these players. And for me, I feel like Noah Cates symbolizes that for this team. Noah Cates, in many ways, he is the guy who has found a role and amplified it. And I'm not saying the Flyers are going to win a championship, okay? I'm not some crazy person over here like that. But I do think that there is something to be said when a guy like a Noah Cates, a guy like a Tyson Forrester, that these guys just start stepping up, right? And it brings me back to every team that wins a championship, or at least every team that competes for a championship, it's not always about the main guys, not always about the top scorers. In the 90s, it was guys like Claude Lemieux, right? For teams like if you go back to those Los Angeles Kings teams that won those cups back in the day, Drew Doughty had an amazing run in those postseasons. there's a lot of guys who they're not the number one, they're not the number two. They might even be the number 3 guy on the team, but it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is playing better than your 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's why hockey teams win more often than not. And I think that if the Flyers keep getting this level of production from their 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think that to me is the key. And that's why I point to a guy like Noah Cates, because he is not your best player. He ain't your second best player. Not even your third best player. You could argue he's the 5th best player on this team. But he may be better than the other team's 5th best player, because as you heard Kevin say, he outplayed a guy like Andrei Barkov, who is one of the best players in this league. And if you can get that kind of production out of a guy who is not your 1, not your 2, not your 3, he's probably maybe close to your 5th best guy, that means that you have legitimate depth on this team. And I think that for the Flyers, for a team that has been focused on a rebuild and development, you are seeing you're seeing the fruits of the commitment to, and I know in Philadelphia we hate hearing this phrase, the process, right? But for hockey, I think the process is a much more legitimate term than it is for basketball, because basketball is a messy thing, right? But for hockey, okay, it's the idea that you need your young guys to develop. And if they don't develop, well, you're a team like the Columbus Blue Jackets. You're a team like the Minnesota Wild. You're a team that only can go so far. You have a ceiling. You're never going to get past a certain point, right? But for a team like the Flyers, it's the idea that when you traded away Claude Giroux and you got Owen Tippett, he has developed into somebody. It's a guy like your commitment to giving Tyson Forrester, Morgan Frost, Noah Cates playing time. And it's also Farabee, being patient with him through all of these, the roller coaster, right? It's the idea that you didn't trade a Travis Konechny or a Scott Lawton last year, even though there were a ton of rumors about those guys getting traded. It was the fact that this team has stayed committed to the process of letting these guys develop. And I know Ryan Poehling is out right now, but throw him in the conversation. I mean, Poehling, you could argue, has been as important as anybody to this team's defense and their skating from zone to zone. So for me, when I look at the Flyers, what I love about watching this team is that they are doing what the Sixers are not. They're putting a team on the floor, on the Sixers, or on the ice terms of the Flyers. They're putting a team out there that is committed to being selfless, that is committed to doing the job, that is committed to hustle and grinding, and everybody playing their role. There's no hero ball with the Philadelphia Flyers. One of the problems I think is going on right now with some of the teams around the NHL, and I don't want to get into a whole hockey, diatribe here, because I know we got to get back to the Eagles on the other side, but you look around the NHL, and this is the context I want everybody to have. One of the best teams in terms of talent in the NHL are the Colorado Avalanche. The Colorado Avalanche are currently in the wild card hunt. Another team with not a lot of talent is the Vancouver Canucks. If the season ended today, they would not be in the playoffs. Let's bring it back to the Eastern Conference. The Boston Bruins have been considered one of the best teams in the East for years. They're not in the playoffs at all if the season ended right now. Why are all those teams having those problems? One, because they have too many guys playing hero ball. They have too many guys trying to win the game by themselves. Their star players are not meshing, and the chemistry with the other players on the team is just not good enough. Number two, as I told you before, there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys on those teams. They're not playing at a they're not playing good, okay? You watch a Colorado team, you watch Vancouver, you watch Boston. I mean, they're not back-checking half the time. They're not even playing defense some of the time. They're not running a fluid offense. They're not doing the little things that the Flyers are. And that's what gives you hope with the Flyers, that they are doing what the other teams that are supposed to be, quote unquote, more talented than them. It's the fact that the Flyers are doing what needs to be done to win. And as Kevin Durso said, if they can keep this level of play up, that will put them into the playoffs. You can hear the game coming up at 7 o'clock. Tim Saunders, Tom Fedora calling all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN. Back to the text board and your guys' messages on the other side. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And we are live on my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe at Josh Hennig, hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedora bring you all the exciting play-by-play action.
They score! Connect the other one-timer, and TK makes no mistake, the power play goal.
It's Flyers Islanders tonight. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Flyers hockey all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey. 97.3 ESPN.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. $6. That's less than lunch. Lee's new Kia K4 under $6 a day. Even new K5 and Sorrentos under $7 a day. Now at RK Kia. Lee's new 25 Kia K4 LXS $6 a day. K5 LXS and Sorrento LX with third row seating under $7 a day. $7 plus get 0% financing for 72 months. 0%. Plus you get RK coverage, no charge. Ding repair, tire repair, wheel repair, windshield repair, and more. No charge. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. Take the winning drive to RK. RK Kia of Vineland. RK does it right. MyRKKia.com. MyRKKia.com. To qualified buyers plus tax and title. For details, call 856-641-1111 or MyRKKia.com.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where TurboTax Expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it? I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SUNNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SUNNY to 200-300. That's SUNNY to 200-300. SUNNY to 200-300.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26th, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Shop can't miss deals going on now during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. For a limited time, get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Plus, save $680 on a Midea 4-piece kitchen appliance suite. Now just $17.96. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Valid 1/13 through 1/24. Cannot be combined with additional discounts while supplies last. See store or Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. That means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the type of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app using promo code RADIODYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $25,000 per bet. Prop boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. For terms, Caesars.com/promos. If you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, coming up on 97.3 ESPN, Flyers hockey. Flyers versus the Rangers. Coming up next tomorrow, I will be filling in for Mike Gill from 2 to 6 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks, Kevin Durso, for joining me on the show tonight. Watching on the stream, Tony chimes in and says, Flyers, it's team defense. It's back shots. You're very right, Josh. Great stuff from you and Kevin. Let's go Flyers. Tony, appreciate you chiming in on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig, where I stream all my shows live here from the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City. Lots of Eagles talk coming up tomorrow. We'll get you ready for Eagles and Commanders this Sunday. Coverage begins at 2 p.m. and then kick off at 3 right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget, you can listen to the game as well on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
This is Billy Schwein. Join me, Josh Hennig, and former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Clemming as we broadcast live from the Chicken or the Egg in Marlton, New Jersey for our Eagles pregame show from 10 a.m. to noon. We will get you ready for the NFC title game by giving away Eagles merch. Fox 29 News sports anchor Scott Grayson will give us his keys to the game, brought to you by Blitz's Market. Plus, my fantasy football guru Brian Hartley checks in, brought to you by Charlie's Bar. It's the Locker Room with Billy Schwein, live from the Chicken or the Egg, 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.